Welcome everyone to Politically High Tech. By the time this recording is released, it's going to be well within Women's History Month. And guess what? The guest is a woman. Timing couldn't have been better. If you believe in God or not, that's your prerogative, but I believe things are just working out for me. He's actually listening to me quite personally. But if you don't, it's entirely up to you. I'm gonna play the nice guy role today. It's not gonna be exciting for some of you because some of you like the more vulgar, sharp tongue. Not this episode. I'm gonna use my graceful, higher, not higher level, but higher vibration. If you're a spiritual, if you know what I mean, that's more the kind, loving, maybe a bit witty, in a more jokey, playful kind of way. I'll see where that lands. Sometimes that could be risky because I could tend it to go one way, but the receiver could interpret it the other way. So we'll see how that goes. But before we get into all of that, I have a guest here. This is the most bubbliest one yet. I mean, she's more hype than I am. I mean, I'm not the most hype person in the world per se, but I was like, woo. Also, okay, this is like the night. It's like a shot of very late coffee for you coffee addicts. You know what I'm talking about. Woo. So I'm gonna introduce her, and she's gonna introduce herself and share a little background, what she does, and all that good stuff, like I've been normally doing, because I don't want to unintentionally misrepresent or omit something that could be important. So let's welcome Denzil Eden. Did I get that right?
Yes, perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. My name is Denzil. I grew up in the Bay Area, started coding really young. I was lucky enough to go to a school where they taught programming with this little turtle. The language was called Logo. And I fell in love just being able to build something out of nothing and ended up pursuing that passion through high school, ended up going to MIT to study computer science, did a master's there in AI, but ended up doing a thesis project in human computer interaction. So pretty much building Slack, but for classrooms. I wish I'd stuck with it, but didn't think I was meant to be a founder. So ended up going to Microsoft instead. I worked as a PM at PowerPoint, missed coding. So I started becoming a computer science professor at a local community college, started trying out some other jobs, decided I really wanted to just be a software engineer. And so switched to being a software engineer at Yammer, which was still a Microsoft company, but kind of a smaller company. It was an acquired startup. So really started to understand what it meant to be working at a smaller place, what it meant to be a founder. Still wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life. So decided to go to business school. And that's really where I started asking myself, like, do I want to stay in tech? If I did stay in tech, what would I want to build? If I was a founder, where would I want to be making my mark? And really came up with the idea for my current startup there. It's called Smarty. We're trying to be an AI powered executive assistant with natural language commands. And really, I started building Smarty for myself, just was like feeling overwhelmed with all of the things that I had to do professionally, personally, and built Smarty as a chatbot originally, where I would tell Smarty things I had to get done, and Smarty would keep track of it for me. It would try to get it done if it could automate it. And that's how I started. I pitched my first investor while I was in business school. She said no, gave me a bunch of feedback. I took the feedback, kept iterating on the product, started a different job, kept working on Smarty on the side, and then eventually went back, having applied her feedback, having built the product a little bit more. And this VC firm called Pear, they ended up writing my first check, raised my first round of institutional capital in January of 2020, and now have been working on it full time ever since.
Wonderful. Just by looking at her, you probably don't believe her, but it's very possible, people. You can't just say, oh, all this positive stuff could be nonsense. You know what? It is very possible. I mean, look, she's driven, very energetic. I mean, you probably won't believe her that she's overwhelmed, but I believe her because as a professional, I mean, well, yeah, professional, personal stuff, you always got to juggle. It could be a mess. Let's just be very real. If you especially don't have a system in place or a tool that could help you, it could go. It could just be, oh, it's messy. I've been there. It is no fun. And come on, I'm adulting here. We all can relate here if you're a busy, productive adult. But if you're doing nothing with your life, you think us busy, productive people are crazy. You just stay in your couch and do whatever. I'm gonna be nice and not just throw names at you. I'm just gonna keep it like that. I'm in a very good mood, and I'm gonna channel, one of the meaning of my first name, which is supposed to be about the light. Okay, so I'm gonna channel the light today, and just I don't know, just continue to be a couch potato. If you're I rather you think I'm crazy for trying to do the right thing and try to climb or crawl the mountain of success. Okay, that's what I'm gonna say from there. I mean, yep, that's amazing. I mean, will you start coding at 8? When I read that, say,
Yeah.
what was I doing at that age? I was just barely learning how to use the very basics of the computer. I mean, being a lot of other people. I said, wow, coding at 8. I said, I think I destroyed my first computer around that time.
I mean, that's
So,
a way to get started, like taking computers apart and like figuring out how they look or work. But I was lucky. My school had a programming language for kids that they were teaching. They wanted to get kids more involved. And so I was lucky to just have that exposure.
oh yeah, no, that's very, very fortunate. They just told me how to use a computer like it was some kind of toy or luxury item. And sad, that's most of American kids' education system in the 90s. Yes, I am aging myself a little bit. This to show you how primitive my computer experience was. Of course, I got better as a teenager with self-interest and determination, but I'm still nowhere, like freaking Mug Zuckerberg, Elon Musk. Wow, no. And well, actually, let me use better examples. Sam Altman, yeah, that's a much better example. Let's throw on Elon Musk. I'm thinking about him because he's suing him right now. The battle of the wealthy with that one. I will give you the update with that once I gather all the details. So far, I'm not paying attention to it. To me, I just think it's a petty battle of the billionaires so far. That's my impression. Don't just take it with a grain of salt, people. I haven't looked into it. So, I appreciate that there's actually people that are creating using AI for good. And that's another thing I want to promote. AI can be used for good. It's not just a doomsday scenario where they all become Terminators. Computer will grow legs and arms and start shooting down, and destroy the human oppressors and all that other good stuff. Stop watching too much sci-fi, people. Right? That's what I'm gonna say about that. Um, so let's start with the first question. This is more of a business related one. In what way do you believe how was let me ask this. Oh, what's going on? Okay. Zoom behave. Give you a virtual spanking later on. Okay, so in what ways do you believe AI is redefining productivity, right? I mean, I could give one idea that we're no longer doing mundane tasks like we used to, and we can focus more on a deeper work, higher level work, right? I'm sure that's one way. I'm sure you could come up with more ways.
I think AI is redefining and transforming every role and industry that's out there today because AI is just a tool. It is a way of empowering people who are doing different types of jobs. And the way that AI works today is it's really looking at past data, regardless of what industry it's in, whether it's your productivity data, whether it's farming data, whether it's music data or writing data. It's taking that past data and then transforming it into new outputs. And so the way that I think about AI is that it is predictive, proactive, and personalized. It's predictive in the fact that any industry, it has data. AI can come in, look at that data, and predict future outcomes from there. And then it's proactive because once it sees those future outcomes, it can automate, like you were saying, menial tasks related to those future outcomes. It can actually automate the work needed to get to those future outcomes. And then it's finally personalized. It can take your preferences as the user or like the preferences of an industry and apply those preferences to how it works in order to get to the outcome that is best for you personally. And so I think those are the three principles of any AI tool. A good AI tool is that it's predictive, it's proactive, and it's personalized. And I think you're going to see that in every AI tool across industries. So like we're seeing that in productivity. That's what we're trying to do at Smarty. We're trying to take your data, help automate the work, the menial work that you're doing to get to personalized recommendations and solutions for you, the user. But you're going to see that in pretty much every industry, from copywriting to creating art to creating music. There's just so much that AI is capable of doing. And so it's an exciting time to be involved in this. I think for all of the listeners out there, if you're interested in AI, you don't have to understand how AI works to become AI literate, to be good at using AI. I think the more people invest in becoming AI literate today, the more of an AI expert they'll be in 5 or 10 years.
And I want to talk to the more, I don't want to use elderly, experienced people of life. Don't be afraid of AI, especially if you're gonna have to use it for your job. I mean, the most sure way to be replaceable is to reject our AI, out front. Unless you're what industry I could see that has the least amount of impact so far that I could think of. And feel free to correct me because I could be wrong. I could go off and live here. I mean, yeah, I'm sure farming uses machinery and automation to some extent, but construction maybe definitely not the driving
Production
industry.
definitely will be using a ton of AI because they're going to use data around like supply chains and like how are things
True.
constructed. I really don't think there's any industry that won't be affected by AI because there's just so much data pretty much in every job. And that's all that AI does. It takes data and tries to come up with new recommendations or outcomes or solutions.
I got somewhat of a decent example, and then I'm probably gonna use a more dramatic example. You might even laugh on the anti-AI answer. Let me just channel the anti-AI haters for a second. Non for profits because they have the least amount of money to implement the tools. I say that's kind of like a half decent answer. And then for the very dramatic one, get ready for this: live off the grid, become Amish.
Mm. Okay, yes. Yes, I definitely agree with the second one because if you're a Luddite and you're like avoiding all technology, then yes, I doubt that AI is going to make an impact on your life or probably not anytime soon. But for the nonprofits, I will actually say every AI tool that's out there, someone is creating an open source and free version of that tool because they really believe that this should be a commoditized, available to anyone tool. And so I think actually the nonprofits might benefit from all of these open source versions that are coming out. So I'll push back on that one, but the people who are avoiding technology, yeah, I think they'll be able to skip the AI revolution.
I mean, look, listen, I'm pro AI. I'm just trying to defend ya, and don't expect me to be a good one because
No,
I'm
I love it. I will stick up for the pro AI people because I am optimistic about AI in the long run.
I know same here. I'm more the little not
Devil's
but
advocate.
yeah, I'm more the optimistic. I'm more at the cautious optimistic camp. I'm sure it could go haywire and all that, but for the most part, people's doing it for good. Just gotta watch out for those few people who
Bad
are,
eggs. Yeah.
scheming things, especially in politics, which I'm not gonna talk about. They're already using deceptive tools for ads and all of that. And
Yeah, deep fakes, fake
yeah,
voices,
exactly.
videos, like all of that. Yeah, there's definitely easy. It's a tool. It can be used. I think I was talking to someone recently that was saying that AI is like fire. It can be used to warm up your house or it can be used to burn it down. And so it's a tool. It depends on how people are using it.
Oh yeah, no, that's very true. Very, very true right there. The AI haters, look, I tried, even though I didn't try very hard, except with the whole Amish thing. I had to go the real dramatic route because they're the ones that want to live 19th century if I'm gonna be kind to them. Yeah, they're the Puritans, anti-technology. They want to just preserve their culture to the purest power possible. And I did catch a couple of them. It's kind of hard to find, but I went to Atlantic City. I caught an Amish family. You could tell because the boys and the girls dress the same. They dress like they are in 19th century clothing. So for the pilgrim times and all of that, you could easily spot them, and they walk like a straight line and all of that. And they don't know a single celebrity, so don't ask them who's Cardi B, all these celebrities, because they're not gonna know a thing. They're gonna look at you like you're crazy. You're gonna look at them like they're crazy. Okay, just don't bother. It's hard to talk to them because we are very interconnected. I mean, AI is just gonna expand, expand, expand. I mean that's the inevitable. And what you could do is learn how to work, master it, and become AI literate without knowing all the technical background coding that's being performed. And I like the AI. I of course not a perfect tool, but it is an amazing tool. And now you could do text to video images with Sora, which is actually amazing.
Sora's
But
really cool.
and
But I think for any of the listeners, if they're like excited to become AI literate, the best way to do it is to find a hobby that you love and then look for a tool in that hobby space. So like if you like writing, then play around with ChatGPT. If you're an artist, play around with Midjourney and submit your own art, or like try to use the prompting to get Midjourney to help you get art inspiration. If you like playing music, find a composing AI tool. There are so many things you can do for every sport or hobby or interest. You can find a tool in that space. And I think that's a really great way to get started.
Yep. I mean, even if you're bad at it, AI
Even
can
if you're
help you
bad at it. Yeah.
and
Especially if
I
you're
use
bad at it.
myself with art as a look. I'm very bad at art. A 5-year-old could dominate me if it was a drawing competition. Okay, and but with AI, is that equalizes the playing field. I'm sure 5-year-olds are
Yeah.
using AI, so it's gonna be more of an equal field. You see, it's kind of an equalizer in the sense. I'm bad at art. That 5-year has potential to beat me for sure. Just
Me
hope
too, actually. But I
so.
think especially if you're bad at your hobby, AI is a great way to get better.
Yeah. Yeah, and, I'm not great composing music either, but I'm sure AI is gonna help me with that. So, like, even if you're not so great, okay, me, I don't consider myself a creative person for the most part, probably except for solving problems. But other than that, don't expect me to be an artist. Don't expect me to sing. If you want me to sing, make sure you cover your ears real well. I will probably kill your eardrums. Just being brutally
But
honest.
there's definitely an AI tool to help you become a better singer too.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm not. I'm sure. I don't know the specific tools, but I'm sure they're out there. It doesn't surprise me anymore with the ever expanding capabilities that AI is doing. See, I'm already geeking out with AI. I am not gonna apologize for that, and I'm just being more uncensored with my optimism of AI. Instead of just playing the more reserved, analytical. I say, yeah, it's great, but I gotta pay attention to this.
Totally.
So I'm pro AI, just especially for you first time listening. For those of you returning, I'm just gonna say sorry for the regurgitation. What a way to pay back to my loyal listeners. Is like, all right, be quiet. Let's get to the next point. Yep, and I'm gonna do that. All right, so now let's stick to the AI route, and I think I'll shift to the more broader perspective. What challenges now that business have on integrating or just implementing AI into their operations? I'm sure certain businesses have problems. I mean, they have access to AI, but doesn't mean they know how to implement it well. I mean, how can they be addressed?
Yeah, it's a great. I think of like I'm gonna take it at like a higher level too from that. Like I think obviously AI is a transformational tool, but I think businesses are having a really hard time understanding how it drives their bottom line. How are they making money with AI? And I think that'll just take time. There's a lot of short-term transitional costs that will come with integrating AI tools or forcing it into a company when there isn't a clear need or a clear problem where they're applying it. And so I think that's definitely the hardest part for larger businesses that have already set up the tools for their employees. They know how they work in a certain way. And so forcing your employees to suddenly start integrating AI into everything that they're doing is only going to cause problems. Like I've heard, for example, some marketing companies laid off a bunch of their copywriters because they were like, oh, ChatGPT can like replace or help the existing market writers that they have. And then they ended up hiring a lot of them back because it's a tool. It's not necessarily a replacement, at least for now. There's still a lot that we value human eyes and human voices for. And so I think there's definitely like a short-term transitional period that's coming on. But over the entire ecosystem, I think there are some really large challenges when it comes to AI. So the first is around bias. AI is very much based off the data that it has. So if you give it biased data that only represents specific genders or specific voices or specific demographics, obviously the outcomes that you're going to get are very biased as well. And so Midjourney, that AI art tool, if you prompt it to show a board meeting, it'll likely show you a bunch of white men around a table, and you have to actually specifically prompt, oh, I want to see a diverse boardroom, right? And so the data that these AI tools are using are extremely biased. And so that's a big general concern in the AI ecosystem right now, is how do we make sure that the data that these tools are using are representative of the population that we have, not just via gender, but also racially, culturally, socioeconomically. There's so many ways to think about diversity. And so that's a big concern with AI. governance and security and privacy is just another big theme when it comes to AI concerns. How are we making sure that the data is correctly protected? How are we making sure that our personal data is kept private and is kept personal, even though it's being used for these larger systems? And then how are we making sure that the data that is being fed into these machines are correctly being attributed to the people who deserve credit and copyright? So if you're using a bunch of artist data, how are the artists getting paid for it in some way? Are they getting attributed for it in some way? And so that's a big second theme of AI concerns that we're seeing right now in the market. And I think the third one is the one that we've already kind of touched on, is like, how do people incorporate this into their job? Is this going to cost people their jobs? I think for all three issues, the short term, I think there will be growing pains, but in the long term, I'm very optimistic. I think all of these issues will be resolved. And then in the long term, in the next 5 or 10 years, AI is going to actually open up millions of jobs, very similar to the Industrial Revolution. It'll take some jobs, but overall, it's going to increase the ecosystem.
Oh yeah, no, I love that you use the Industrial Revolution. I mean, you're already touching my history hat right there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because let's just yeah, because I mean, when that happened, yeah, a lot of farmers was losing jobs, but a lot of them were opening up in urban areas. And it's just like with AI, yeah,
Factories.
a lot of outdated jobs are going to be, of course, removed, and then of course a lot more jobs are going to be opening. And I mean, that's the shift of society, and of course technological advancements always lead the way when it comes to that, but transitions are going to be rough, and some people are going to lose jobs. That's inevitable. That's why, and I'm just going to say it again, it's very important to learn some new skills and learn some AI so that you could stay current in the job market. That's all I'm gonna say. Or you could just become Amish. That's it. Which I don't think they're gonna allow
No,
you.
I agree with you. I think everyone should be investing in AI literacy. Like, I think the more you invest today, the better of an advantage you'll have in a few years. You'll be an expert.
Oh yeah, and it's exciting. Just give it a try. Don't be what's the proper word? Technophobe. Yeah, that's all I could say about that. Just give it a shot. Have your more tech literate relative or friend that you trust lead you the way if you need that social help, because I know with my parent, I had to be the one that had to bridge that gap because they were going to get very nervous when it comes to technology. They feel stupid, they get flustered, and they want everything done right there, and they don't want to look foolish. So I get it's more of a social thing. It has nothing to do with intellect. It's more of a social and habits that gets them feared. Like they used to doing things the old way. The more the I mean, AI has been around for a long time, but now it's just more open than before, especially thanks to Open AI. That's one that made AI very very open. It's been around for a long time. I mean, if I'm going to use a video game example, that opponent you fight by yourself that you don't need another one. That's an AI. That's more of a primitive, limited AI because they just challenge you. You can set a difficulty for easy to hard. And of course, with yeah, I can use video games, and yeah, that's a very old example of AI that I could come up with on top of my head, and it's a good one because AI has been around. It's been around. It's just now it's just more evolved and open. That's the big difference. Don't act like it's a 2019 thing. No. In chat and algorithms in social media as well. If we use a slightly more modern example, the web too. They had algorithms to say, okay, you like this person, we're gonna give you more of this person, or like this kind of content is gonna feed you more of that kind of content. So that was AI figuring out what you like. And I mean, even the streaming services have that too for years now. Okay, you like this kid show, we're gonna give you more kid shows. If you like romance, we're gonna give you more romance. If you like novelas or Spanish films, it's gonna give you more of that. If you like French, Italian, or let me diversify it. Indian, Bangladeshi best base films, they're gonna give you more of that. Yeah, and that's it's learning, and it gives you. I mean, every once in a while, it throws something that's not intelligent, it's not perfect. It's gonna say, oh, why is it recommending
But it's
this?
getting there.
Oh, it's definitely learning. It's learning at unprecedented rate. I could say that with a straight face, unprecedented. I mean, I don't think no human's capable of
100%.
learning that. Yeah, it's very unprecedented, right? And it's just getting better. It's just getting better. Before it used to be very dumb. Remember back to my first email days, it used to suggest me a training bra. I said, you do know I'm a man, right? I don't need that. But now it knows you. It's sometimes a little creepy. They suggest you stuff that you might need based on where you're at. So
Yeah,
algorithm that
definitely. It's
kind
scary how predictive it can be.
yeah, a bit intrusive at times, but but that I'm just my main point is showing how silly it was to a couple of decades ago to now, where it's a whole lot more accurate. And it's some, and I'm gonna sound like a bit of a crazy person. If I start talking about pizza, I won't be surprised. It's gonna be a little ad showing pizza. I mean, it's out there, and
Definitely.
it's definitely out there with the algorithm, especially with advertisements and all of that. I'm not gonna talk about the spine and all that. I'm that now that's going down that rabbit hole. No, we're not gonna do that. That's we gotta mentally block that out. All right. I'm just want to just demonstrate how things has changed with that. You already said predictive, more accurate, more precise, and all of that good stuff. So let's see here. And yeah, feel free to chime in. I don't have to just ask a question. Let's see. So the next question is gonna be is what are the big lessons you learned from leading AI driven company that you think other people should learn?
I think it's a two-part question. Like there are a lot of things that I've learned about just running a company and starting a company from scratch. I think like my biggest learning as someone who is a software engineer, I fell into the trap of build and users will come. And that is, I think, like a number one technical founder problem where you feel like you know what the solution is and you start building it before talking to any users. I think for anyone who wants to start a company, the number one thing you should do is talk to users, to talk to customers, to validate that idea, to validate what the product is going to look like. And if I was a founder today, I would start by creating a landing page for my idea, start building a wait list for that idea, start talking to those users on that wait list, and then maybe prototype something on Figma or Bubble or one of these no code tools that are out there, and then test that with those same users. Make sure you know exactly who the customer is, what the solution looks like, how it's going to work before you write a single line of code. And so if I could go back, that is how I would start a startup today. And I think it's easier than ever to validate an idea with the internet and with generative AI. So I think you don't need to know how to code to start figuring out an idea and validating it. And as an AI founder, I think AI tools make it easier than ever to build a solution that someone really wants. And so if you're interested in building something, just go out and start talking to people, start figuring out what you're going to build.
Yep, and oof, I wish I had that in my podcast. I treat like it was a hobby and experiment. And I'll say one of them, I'll be very honest. I didn't really understand my audience. I started losing some of them. I don't know, they liked it me personally or my content. I started talking to more people. I should have been more proactive on that. So that's also that I could relate to you on that. So just say, okay, I was getting a little bit of traffic coming in. I was like, what? People just want to hear me talk? Some things I talk could be kind of rubbish. It's too New York-esque. It could be exclusive. Not in a whole racial, gender kind of way, but more in the geography sense. I was like, oh no, he's a crazy New Yorker. This person could be from Iowa, so I can relate to that. I got more farm animals than friends or whatever. I'm not me make fun of y'all, but you probably more, you probably could relate more on that level. But me, that's the mistake that I made. I was getting listeners, and by the time I started switching things, they felt betrayed. I started losing some of that relationship. So, I figured out when after the damage was done. And then now I've been more thoughtful, more intentional with this podcast. Before, yeah, I talked about politics and this, that I was like, and I used to talk about video games, board games, but then I got bored of it, and then by the time I started seeing the traffic very carefully, people were just not that into it, and they could tell I wasn't that into it. So I scrapped that, started pushing more to AI stuff, and then that fixed that because AI
I
is
mean,
more.
I think starting a podcast it's the same thing as like starting a startup. It's like you're starting anything from scratch. It's all about like trying to understand your users. And honestly, like the journey you went on, it sounds exactly right because you have to experiment because how else are you going to learn unless you try new things? You have to lose some users to figure out what is right for you and what's right for the product. And the podcast is the product.
Okay, I could have easily just spit out something. Oh, you hear what Denzil said about you? To heck with you. No, I'm kidding. No, no, no. She don't mean that at all. She don't mean that at all. What when you do experiment change, it is risky. There is some risk to it. Now I'm doing video because this is the first season where it's
Yeah.
video as well. So let me expand on video because there's certain things I like to do visually that I don't feel like articulate, or I'm too lazy to articulate or explain through audio. And I do try to include the audio listeners as well. So, and I'm just give you a little bit of imagery. It's a nice, racially ambiguous girl using a computer. It's a very bright blue colored room and all of that. Yes, I represent women in tech. I mean, that's the only reason why you have that there. There was a lot of examples. And of course, you had a few potted plants right there. I
Yeah.
mean, yep, she has a green, she has a green thumb. I certainly don't. Uh, maybe because I'm a stereotype man in the sense that I just don't pay attention to the plant. We should in general because they do provide life and all that. They become trees and all that eventually. Some of them. I'm not a botanist, so if you want to bash me on that, go right ahead. That's your little common activity right there. And I'm just gonna mostly ignore it. I can already sift through what's nonsense and what's good for me to I already know what's the difference between insult and feedback. Some people just get blind and rage that they mix the two together. No. Feedback is they're telling you something specific you should do to improve. An insult is they're just attacking you personally.
Yeah. You'd be
So
able to tell the difference and not be affected by the insults.
yeah, and trust me, I have been insulted, and it's funny. I thought I was gonna be sensitive though. I end up just laughing. That's more
That's a
reflection.
good attitude.
Yeah, no, man, I really underestimate myself. Yeah, I guess I just laugh real hard, treat like they're comedians. I was, oh, that's cute. Try to do what I'm doing. You're gonna let's just say yourself will become the bathroom. That's the most graphic I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, try podcasting. Trust me, I thought this was gonna be another easy thing. Having preconceived expectations is another thing that messes people up. I thought it was gonna be an easy, breezy. Nope. Starting any kind of business or creating a product, it's
It's
not easy.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought,
No
oh,
idea what you're supposed to do. There's no roadmap. It's all unknown unknowns.
yeah, that's exactly. There's just no other way to explain it. You have to forge that. You have to mold. You have to create your own roadmap. You can try to follow others, but I doubt you're going to succeed. You need to create that roadmap, experiment, and go through trial and error, and have the heart of steel, and and courage, all of that other stuff. Oh my goodness. If you told me I would have started a podcast 10 years ago, I would have said, you're insane.
I get that.
But I say, you know what? I got something to share and I'm going to just do the best I can with that. And she obviously has something to share. Well, besides just the smarty dot AI, excuse me, let me correct myself there. I got to get that one right. And that's going to replace what I use Count Landly. I'm not a big fan of Count Landly, especially its free version. I don't like paying for some that's just going to be minimally better. I read the other features and said, I'm not going to pay for something that's just going to make it minimally better. And
Yeah.
to me, it's overpriced. It's overpriced, and that's your competitor for sure. That's the only reason why I break.
It's definitely one of our competitors. We do all of the scheduling link stuff. We're really focused more on creating natural language commands for all of the administrative work you're doing. So even with like scheduling links in Smarty, you can say something like coffee. Kimmy is my coworker, so coffee with Kimmy for next week, and I can just send that to a client, and it'll be both of our availability for next week. And I can say even things more specific like that. I can say coffee with Kimmy in next week on the afternoons, and it'll be just the afternoons for both of us, and I can send that to a client. So we're trying to create natural language commands for all of these different things that you do in the administrative space. And so that's just scheduling links, which is very much a Calendly feature set, but we're also in calendar management, task management, contact management, email management.
And the thing I could say, my biggest gripe with Kyle Landley is that's just me as a customer. I could be a little off. I'm using the free version as well, so that's a disclaimer. It's not very smart at detecting conflict. That's the thing I use because I use Google Calendar, and there was times it even conflict with up for example, I do this probably used to be a little. I put was I put a dentist appointment, and then I also have, and I also forgot I had a podcast interview.
Mm,
Yeah, there was definitely conflict of time. This is a good thing I still use my, human brain, judgment, creativity still going to be needed. That's not going to be obsolete. So don't worry, you're not going to be replaced. Just work with collaborate with AI so you can stay relevant to the job marketplace. I'm just going to repeat that again. That's worth repeating. I don't have to tell Denzel that she's the expert, right? Everything she can tell me a thing or two. But this is just for you listeners and viewers that that are skeptical of AI. But if you love AI, forget what I'm saying. You're ready. Yeah, just stick to that. You don't need to hear this part. Okay, you can just ignore it or even skip a few seconds because AI is going to be the way, and you could probably make some extra dough. I remember one time, I think last year, I'm probably getting the year wrong. That I mean the AI, Netflix was going to pay nearly $1 million for AI consultant. Yeah, look at that, getting closer to a millionaire. Yeah,
yeah, I think a lot of the big tech companies, if you're like a deep expert, there's a lot of opportunities out there right now.
yeah.
And even if you're not an expert, but you understand how AI works, if you're an AI micro influencer on social, there's a lot of opportunities for that too.
You don't even have to be an expert. You could be probably dabbling for probably 3 to 6 months. That's the rational time I'm just gonna give, just at least know some of AI. Especially having hands-on experience. I mean, me, I use Chat GPT a couple of times. I like Chat GPT, but it's more like the jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah.
Wow. And I use that comparison with other AI tools. Yours is more of a more specific to calendar,
Productivity, anything
productivity.
like an EA helps you with.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be better than ClickUp, because even though ClickUp got a lot of features, but they're sort of disorganized. I've used ClickUp before. I ended up throwing it out the window mentally, not physically. It's not a physical product. You just grab through the screen, just throw it out the window. Okay, don't take it literally. Figuratively, I threw it out of my mental window. I said, yeah, this is too cumbersome for me,
Yeah.
and that's my problem with ClickUp. And I've used a free version, even a paid version for a month. I it's like, yeah, that's not. I'm better managing a project on my own, and that's not a good. It's not a good thing. It's supposed to replace every single thing, which I was a bit egotistical on them. I said, yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, their tagline was one app to replace them all.
Yeah, it's not doing a good job on that one. Yes.
It's a good tagline though.
Yeah. You're gonna drink
Good marketing.
Yeah. No, I strongly disagree with that tagline. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it.
Work, but yeah.
I said, yeah, you got customers who like to drink the. I'm gonna use some Gen Z slang, some copium Kool-Aid or something, But hey, I'm not gonna tell you what to do, but just don't be surprised you screw up and don't come to me. I won't say I told you so, dummy. You're gonna replace every single app. Good luck. Good luck. Just with Chat GPT and all that. So yeah, good luck with that. And there's more AI specialized tools that really they carve their own lane, their
Yeah.
own niche, per se. So yeah, good luck with that. I don't mind Calendly. Ugh, I can't even talk, to be replaced. I'm not loyal to it, to be honest. And me personally, I'm gonna give this tool a shot, and and I'm gonna see how it works for me. And then if I have to do a few things manually, I don't mind doing it. But Zoom is gonna be thrown out. Just letting you know. I'm gonna be using Riverside for the next season
Mm.
because it's time for an upgrade. I made some profits, so I'm gonna show off the bling that I've made from last season.
Nice. Yeah.
Riverside is one of them. It's going to be a much better tool. Zoom was sadly a desperate replacement with the failure that I had with StreamYard, which it was a very testy back and forth between me and the engineers. It was very, very testy. It got heated, and I am not apologized for it. I will drag their name through the mud until they're gone. Yeah, I could be that merciless. Especially when I become big, I'm definitely gonna just drag them to the mud. So you really hate StreamYard? Yes, they screwed me over and then they damaged relations with one guest that was actually phenomenal. And there's nothing I can say. I can just say my apologies. I can understand you don't want to talk to me, whatever. I'm okay, and I had to accept that. So I said, yeah, no, you had to go. Zoom was used as a desperate plan B.
I've heard good things about Restream.
Yeah. Hmm?
I've heard good things about Restream.
Yeah,
Riverside.
Oh, Riverside. Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh no, yeah, Riverside. Yeah, no, no. That, yeah, that I heard a lot of great things. I've seen how it's being used to say, yeah, that's the tool I need. Yeah, that's something that I definitely need. And there's Descript, but I haven't got I haven't dig deep into that one. But Riverside seems like something I'm gonna need. Especially as to level up this podcast for the next season. And things are going to be looking better, especially for those of you who are very critical with the video portion of it. Listen, you're going to get something. Just wait, especially with episodes coming out with June, and it's going to be better for me and, well, I hope for the guests too. But if they're tech savvy, I'm not worried about them unless really a really big issue happens, that I need to fix my end, and that's a different story. However, yeah, Zoom's gonna go away because, again, it's a desperate replacement. This is temporary. I was not gonna plan to use this thing for long term. I said, well, there's a better two out there. You just give me Riverside. Yeah. Man, and I think I get with the times and just treat Zoom as a casual meeting thing. That's what I'm also going to treat Zoom as. And Calendly, I want to see how great this tool is to replace Calendly because Calendly gets on my nerves. And,
Well, hopefully, we'll see. I hope you like it.
and especially and if it could easily integrate with Riverside and all that, that's really all I could ask for. But if not, I don't mind putting a link and all that. I'm not the
Well, I'll
most,
keep that in mind. Yeah.
that could be, or that could be an update idea.
Yeah. Because we're trying to focus more on integration. So we integrate with Zoom, but like Riverside, the other streaming podcasts be cool to integrate with.
Yeah, I mean, I know why I do. I mean, Zoom is the biggest thing, is the most popular thing. It doesn't deserve the popularity. That's just my personal opinion, but that's a whole other conversation for another day. Just my personal, that's my little spicy opinion on that. But I get it. There's the little free 40-minute version.
Yeah.
That's easy for people to use. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. I get. Don't need to argue with me. Yes, I heard it 100 times. Okay, and look, she's bubbly. I want to maintain good vibes, good vibes. I'm not that good at it sometimes because sometimes my other side just wants to get in there, my feisty side. Calm down. You're not needed. You're not needed. Not for this episode. Maybe the political stuff I get more feisty, and even some of the random stuff, but not this one. Calm down. Calm down. If you want the feistier side, just get out of this episode. Not today. You might have a little wit, maybe a little hot tongue, but nothing too spicy here. All right, so let me ask them more. This one they could twist it to a pop political question, but we are gonna most likely stay out of that, and especially with your expertise and what you're talking about. So how and this is more related to about female diversity and all that, which is a great thing. I already say I support diversity. If you don't support diversity, I mean true diversity, not forced diversity either. I mean true diversity of more people coming in, giving more opportunities for people to join tech and all that, especially women, certain racial groups, even socioeconomic groups. I'm not against that. I don't get upset. I don't know what's the big fuss. Maybe those people who's been in this space for too long, they got too comfortable. I said, well, things don't stay the same forever. All good things must come to an end. So if you've been, sitting in that couch for too long, well, better get moving. It's probably stinking already. All right. So how's your experience as a solo technical female entrepreneur shaped your perspective on diversity and technology?
I think, especially being in the AI space, I know how important it is for us to have diverse sample sets and to have diverse representation, just because, especially with AI, the biased data that you give in AI is the biased outcomes you'll end up seeing. And so that's why it's so important for the data to be representative, not just gender, but also racial, cultural, socioeconomic, and even types of diversity that we aren't even able to really pinpoint today. We need to make sure that this data is truly a representative sample size of the population around us. And I think that's really hard to do. And as long as we have people who are aware of that and are advocating for that, it's going to work out. But I think it's something that should be always top of mind. Is this diverse, and are we representative of what we see in the world around us? As a female founder, obviously, I don't actually see that many women around me. There are more women today that are founding companies and having the resources and support that they deserve, but it's still too little. I think last year less than 2.1% of venture funding went to female founders. And so I think there is obviously a huge gap here that needs to be addressed. And then women in AI is even tougher because I've been going to more and more conferences. And one conference I went to recently, there were 12 speakers, no women founders, no women speakers, no women moderators. And I was shocked because there are women in AI. There's so many voices that can be heard. And so I think it's about providing the right opportunities. As the actual woman founder, I will say, like, you can't be dejected when you don't see people that look like you around you. You kind of have to play the hand that you've been dealt. And use your strengths to your advantage. And so I think, you got to try your best. You can't let the numbers get you down, and you just have to keep going.
That's the talk of a true trailblazer right there. Yeah, just fight against the norm, the normal cultural flow. I mean, of course, not violently. Don't twist my words. I mean,
I mean,
shattering that barrier. That especially that. Women have, again, I'm going to use my history hat. Women have contributed a lot to the foundations of modern computer systems. Okay. And yeah, men too, but they really get a lot of credit. And yes, I'm gonna sound somewhat left to you right-wing critics, but and I'm happy that there's movies now that are showing about women achievement in science, and it's been going on. It's been so buried and not been talked about enough, and I'm actually happy that's happening. And I said, no, we need more movies that, especially why is this movie slipping my mind?
Hidden Figures.
Yes, Hidden Figures. Yeah, they
Is
are
that
really hidden. I mean, for obvious reasons. I mean, history, especially history books in schools, they really sanitize it. So
sorry?
let,
I was going to say one last thing. I do think one thing that women and men can do today is to pay it forward. So to provide more support to like younger women or younger folks that are at a disadvantage. I think that's the best way to start equalizing.
oh yeah, yeah. No, yep, yep. I have no arguments with that. We gotta do a wrap up. Trust me, I'm sure me and her could talk for hours on this because it's very fascinating, and I'm happy that things are slowly moving in the right direction. So for let's do the shameless plug-in. Go try that Smarty.ai. That is SMARTY.ai. Okay, it's a productivity calendar management tool and even email management tool to keep your life more organized, because we're doing so many things. Life is more fast paced, especially using technology. Of course, we demand it of you, and human demand goes up, not down. So you need something to sort that out. Okay. And anything else you want to add before I wrap this up?
Please find me on LinkedIn as well. I'm Denzil Eden. And thank you so much for having me on the show. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, I had a great time as well. Your bubbly energy did shatter the virtual barriers.
I'm
Uh,
glad. Yeah.
so and she's more, she's being humble. She's just sharing LinkedIn. She's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube as well. And check her website out. All right. So if you're listening to this through the Apple podcast, if you're not giving me a 5-star for whatever reason, just leave a review. Just leave a review. I'm willing to take some feedback and just implement it as quick as possible. And if you're listening through Spotify, just leave a star review. Hopefully it's a 5. If not, I totally get it. And then from whenever you're listening to this podcast, you have a blessed day, afternoon, or night.